Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FloTrack podcast presented by wonderful Pistachios. I'm Livik Pone, joined with Ashley Tishins and Corey Mall. We are back from a very, very, very wild NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships in Eugene, Oregon. I feel like it took my body zero time to get back on Central Time. Like, as soon as we landed, your girl was in bed by 8:30. I was ready to go.
See, I don't know. I feel my body still feels kind of out of whack, like almost like a jet lag sort of situation, even though it was only a couple hours. But I don't know. I feel like my body adjusts. It's a lot on the body. It's a lot of wear and tear traveling through the different time zones.
Corey, how are you feeling?
I just got back yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling it.
You're feeling it?
Yeah.
So were you up late last night?
I got back at 10:30 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, went to bed around midnight and got up around 6 today. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. And the allergies, I feel like every single conversation, look on social media and all you're going to see are tweets, posts, all about the allergies. And Ashley, I feel like
I'm still feeling it. I'm having the after effects of it. It's like I felt it a little bit there, but now I like, it's gotten into my chest, and now I'll try not to cough throughout this whole podcast. But yeah, make sure, Olympic trials, make sure you pack all your allergy medication.
Yes. Poor Brian Dybel was really feeling it.
He was dying.
Red eyes, the whole thing. But anywho, this episode's going to be very special because we're going to reflect on our favorite moments from NCAAs. Lots of things were happening at the New York Grand Prix. And of course, this week is just high school nationals across the board. But before we dive into our favorite moments, there were some famous people or a person that was in the stands at NCAA.
Oh, no.
And we have amazing photos of Ashley Tishins.
I wouldn't call them photos, Olivia. Those are screen grabs.
Those are screen grabs. It was funny. Our producer, Nikki, came in through, and he's like, she's just on her phone. I was like, she was tweeting stuff out. She was posting stuff out.
I promise I was actually working. I wasn't just staring at my phone the whole time. But yeah, I had my friends. My dad kept texting me. He's like, I see you in the stands. So I guess maybe that's the perk of being trackside, is you could have a little cameo on TV.
Yeah.
So
and then you get front row center to
all the action.
All the great action. Mm-hmm. While Corey and I were holding it down in the mix zone, Ashley had a front row center to all the big things that were going on.
We had a guy.
And Raymond. Raymond was out there
Epic
too.
photos. He was cooking.
Yes.
Cooking much more than I was.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, there was so much that took place at NCAA Outdoor Championships. So we're going to start off with the men's side. I just feel like so many great things. Ashley, what was the number one memorable moment from you from the weekend?
Gosh, I mean, there were so many memorable moments, but I think if I were to pick one men's race that really stands out to me, it has to be that men's 800 final. Shane Cohen of Virginia, all the way in the back. If you watch that race with 200 to go, even 100 to go, he's still dead last in the back of the pack. All of a sudden makes this huge move into lane 4 on the outside. And it was almost like one of those things where in Mario Kart, you get one of those little mushrooms, and then you just you take off, you hit another speed. That's what it looked like. He hit another gear and he won the men's 800 there, the NCAA title, 1:44.97. I think what makes this story even more interesting, he was a D2 walk-on formerly of Tampa. He ran, I think, 1:48 when he was at Tampa.
A couple times.
Yeah. He goes from that to then running 1:44, transferring to Virginia and winning an NCAA title.
Just remarkable. And I know the eyes were kind of set on Sam Whitmarsh in that race, who had one of the top times in collegiate history, finishing second there. And he was just honestly just proud of the career and the season that he had this year. For me, if I had to pick one, the track sicko in me came out. I had this race on replay, which was the men's 1500, because I felt like out of all the races, I felt like there was no particular favorite going into this race. I had a chance to talk with Elliot Cook after the first round going into finals, and he's like, I can shift gears. I felt good. And of course, he had the Oregon Duck community right behind him. And then you just had athletes like Adam Spencer, who has just done a phenomenal job this season. But at the very end, it was the Washington Husky, Joe Wascom, who continued that streak. Imagine winning as a college 5 years in a row That is remarkable, and that's exactly what Joe Wascom did. Just, I think coming off...
Washington won 5 years in a row between 3 athletes across indoor and outdoor, but Joe had his second title on Friday.
Yeah. So like the fact that the college itself has won 5 straight titles in this event, all from different athletes, but Joe comes in coming off that turn, and it was just like, where is he? Elliott Cook took the inside lane. You never give up the inside, but Joe comes across the finish line in a 3:39.48. Elliott Cook was second with a 3:39.57, and then Adam Spencer, the junior from Wisconsin, finished in a 3:39.80. So that race, I think, was just so memorable for me. But Corey, for you, what was it?
Can I stick on Wascom? I think one thing that he said in the press conference or the mixed zone afterward was the idea of the race itself. Like, whatever that race was going to be, he was going to be ready for it. And his teammates, Nathan Green and Luke Hauser as well. I mean, last year it was 3:42, I believe. The year before it was 3:45. You know, and 2021 is 3:35. The Washington's program trains for the moment. So he said if that race was 3:35 or 3:50, he would have been ready for it. It's really how you react on the day and in those moves. Like Colin Solomon, to everyone watching, ran a really beautiful race.
Yeah.
He made the move when he needed to, just outside 400 meters. He held on. He responded to guys challenging him on the outside. He just came up empty in the last 15 meters.
Yeah.
That's why Wascom was right there. You have to be ready for that moment to strike. And I think that's what's so impressive about Washington. You got to give credit to Andy Powell and how they train. But, like, can we talk a little bit about 5 titles in 5 seasons? That's incredible. Like, if you look at any other sport, that is a dynasty.
Yeah.
So what's happening there?
They just know how to coach those 1,500 milers. You know, they obviously have that formula, right? That's working. But I think if you look at what Washington has done, like they have built that sort of, I feel like probably that trust in terms of like coach to athlete and trusting the training and trusting what you're doing. And they have a certain way they go about things. And I mean, shoot, now it's like, well, who's the next guy that's going to step up, you know, next year? Like, I think that's really the question is how long can they keep this going?
Very hard because Joe leaves after this year. Luke, I believe, leaves. Nathan might have one more season, but they do need to kind of find kind of the next in line to keep that name locked in. And then with Cohen too, one thing I just wanted to add to it was, and this got brought up a couple times in the mix zone too, Robbie Andrews. I watched the 2011 race, which was it 13 years ago? Exact same move to win the race, and it's almost the exact same time. It's kind of uncanny that, you know, Cohen comes in years later. He's only been at Virginia for a year, so, you know, he hasn't really experienced the whole, like, UVA, like, you know, I've been a part of this program the whole career, but he wins the title there. I think that was incredible. On my end, too, how about Florida winning the team title by a point in the last event of the night? In the press conference leading into NCAA's, we asked, Mike, how do you prepare if things aren't going right? And he basically said, you don't really change drastically. You just pivot, you adjust, you just sort of align yourself and make sure that your guys are still focused on winning. Not everything went right for Florida on the day, but when they needed to, they were able to capitalize in the 4x4. I thought that was remarkable. 3rd straight team title for Florida.
How about your guy, Louis?
I love
that.
Let's talk about the men's 100.
Louis amazing. I mean, what do y'all think about Louis? This man came, I think it started at Penn Relays. He beat Sean at Penn Relays, and then from that point forward, I think that confidence and momentum started to swing. I think Sean beat him one more time after that, but then it was all Louis. And a lot of that is like training with Sean on a day-to-day, working with Carl and his coaches, but like he's just feeling the momentum and he's going with it.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch both his prelim and his final, I think there was a lot of buzz on social media saying that like he has one of the best second halves of a race of anyone in the world right now is what people are saying. And it's true. I mean, if you look at, he doesn't have the best start.
Right.
But he can make that up in the back half and run you down. And that was on full display here. And he gets his first win legal 100 or sub 10 100-meter performance and wins the title. And I mean, gosh, now it's like, I mean, he's from Great Britain. You got to be thinking like Olympics. I mean, you got to be thinking now down toward those bigger goals. And I'm curious to see what he can do once maybe, he gets on that international stage.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Louis. I know going into NCAAs, I wasn't quite sure, to be honest. Like, I saw him compete at Penn. I've heard of his name like throughout the grapevine leading up to this moment, but I was like not completely sold until after his prelim, like the final round going into finals. And I got a little nervous because, like you said, it reminds me of Noah Lyles. Like, just can't get it. Mm-hmm. But once he gets going, he just eats everybody up like Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. And he was just ready to go. He felt confident. I had a chance to talk with him after the round, and he was like, I feel good. Like, everything's great. Just got to work on the start. Like, he knew what he needed to work on. And sure enough, just comes out with the title, kind of just bulldozed through everybody there.
Yep, that's for sure.
It was remarkable. Let's also, if you guys don't mind, I want to talk about the 5K with Parker Wolf. That race also, another moment where I just want to continuously watch it because it was just so well executed. I felt like Nico Young did a fantastic job really putting himself out there. Graham Blanks, let's talk about Graham Blanks, making that bold move with 800 meters to go. And I think that kind of strung everybody along. But Parker Wolf was always in the conversation. He was right there on everybody's heels. And just coming off that last turn, Parker Wolf just like blasted down, unlocked this enormous kick, and we saw it during indoors. And I think he just kicked a little bit too late. And when you watch that race from the indoor championships, like, he was closing in. But now that it's outdoor, I think he learned from that, took that as experience, and was just able to cross that finish line as a winner this year. Was there anything that you saw that kind of stood out to you, Ashley, from this?
Yeah, I mean, that was an exciting final mile, and I think you got to give really major kudos to Graham Blanks, right? Yes. Like, he's the one that really broke that race open there at the end and kind of made it, like, hey, you better come catch me. And so that's when, Nico Young starts to kick. That's when Kai Robinson starts to kick. That's when Parker Wolf tries, to make up and stick with them. Graham Blanks ended up finishing, I think, 4th or 5th in that race. But, I mean, he's coming back from injury, so that was a really good finish for him. But, yeah, Parker Wolf, again, like, had the most left in the tank. And I think it's just because if you look at it, like, it was very tactical from the beginning. Yeah. I think if, someone like Nico or Kai Robinson had a better chance of winning that race, they should have made it a little bit more honest earlier on. But obviously UNC, I mean, they've had such a strong distance program, especially this year. I believe they won the ACC cross country title, and I think they won indoors as well. So what a way to cap off your season for Parker Wolf winning his first NCAA title.
If you leave it to 800, that's what's going to happen. Okay, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, Nico ran 12:57 in January. I mean, he was clearly capable of running, low 13s and running a championship race, but no one really took the risk. I mean, that's how these races go. I mean, you don't want to kind of sell, yourself early on or show your cards. But if you do let it come down to that's what happens. Yep. And Graham didn't measure it quite right. I think he's still building up at this point. Like, he was 100%. He said afterward he was 100%, but he isn't maybe where he would if he didn't have that injury. Right. So, but I give kudos to him because he was really bold and he took the risk when nobody else would. So
I really loved that move.
Me too.
I loved it. And just kind of watching that replay, he was like in the middle of that pack and then just kind of tucked himself out into like lane 2 or 3 and just like went for it. I was like, oh, Graham Blanks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone had to make a move. Yeah. And he said nothing was happening, so why not me?
And I do like what he said afterwards that, going into NCAAs, at first he was like, like, if I can just make it and be in the mix, like, cool, like, I'll just run my race. But then later he reflected on that again. He was like, no, F that. Like, I'm gonna go for broke and lose on my own terms, basically, is what he said. And he lost on his own terms there. So kudos to him. I thought that was a good move.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. 2 more, and then we'll switch gears and talk about the ladies. But I was really impressed with Caleb Dean, of Texas Tech, ran the number 2 all-time in NCAA history in that 400-meter hurdle race, 47:23. The only gentleman that ran faster was Rai Benjamin. So just put that in perspective for you of how fast that was. And, of course, our guy Leo, 6 all-time best in the decathlon with his score, and also within his series broke the world record in the discus for the decathlon as well. So quite impressed with Leo as we look forward to the remainder of the year when it comes to the Olympics. So let's switch gears. we got to talk about the Fab Four. Like, kicking off the ladies here, Nikisha Price, 48.89 to break the collegiate record in the 400 meters. First woman in NCAA history to go under 49 seconds there. Helped lead the 1 through 4 sweep, which I don't think has ever been done in such a long time. And all 4 of the Razorbacks dipped under 50 seconds. I don't think any of us are surprised by the sweep. Is there anything that's surprising from this race as a whole?
Probably just how fast that Nikisha Price went. I think we were all expecting, personally, I was expecting 49 low. I figured 49 low would win an NCAA title here. But the fact that she went out there, 48.89. Even if you look at her afterwards, their track said, she was even shocked by the time she saw. I don't think she could believe it either. And again, I think it just shows that, Arkansas has obviously built a 400 meter program that's extremely strong, and this just really solidified it. And I think the crazy thing to think about too is it's an Olympic year, and think about I just think too, now what's the next step for these athletes? I know Nikisha Price, she represents Jamaica.
Yes.
So I think okay, she could be a player in the Olympics for a gold medal. You know what I mean? With those sort of times. But overall, just really impressed. Not a huge surprise, except for maybe just that 48.89.
Well, you look at Amber Anning of Great Britain, also in the mix. Kaylin Brown, right now outside of Sydney, is the second fastest U.S. base runner right now at the age of 19.
Crazy to think about.
49.13.
Yes, as a freshman.
And right, you think about what she ran last year in North Carolina. I think she ran 53.
52, 53 maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, well, she wasn't. The year before, she ran a little bit faster in high school, but she wasn't anywhere close to 50, right? So what is it that they are doing that gets them to that point? And they, in the mix zone, we asked them, what's the one moment in practice that kind of maybe you realize that you were this talented? And Anning said it was a 450 meter workout where all 4 of these women went through the 400 mark in 51 high. In a 450. They finished out the 450, but at 400 they went in 51 high. And when you're training, a larger load leading into the championships, and then you eventually wean off, that's what you want to see. So I'm not surprised that they were fast. I think I agree with you that the extent of how they were fast is the big surprise.
Mm-hmm. And then collectively putting together a 4x4 going 3:17 and nearly shaving 4 seconds off their collegiate record of 3:21. I just remember being in the mix zone, and the whole vibe in there was in complete shock. It's different when you see, we know what they can do individually, but the fact that they collectively came together and did that, and having a chance to talk with Coach Johnson afterwards, he's internally we're thinking 3:16, 3:17. Didn't want to put the pressure on the ladies, but it makes sense when you have 4 talented ladies like that who could do it on the track. And plus they did it essentially by themselves. There wasn't really anybody there to push them. So they're just running with heart, and they just get the job done. What was your thought? Because you were actually on the track. What was the vibe for you?
Yeah, they all did it after running the open 400 too. And I think Kaylin Brown split 49 low on that final anchor to get them home. Again, it's not one of those things where you see it and they're just dominating, that you don't really realize that oh, this is super fast until you see the time almost come on the clock when they finish. But that's one of the fastest 4x4 times clocked in world history. We're talking U.S. teams, teams from other countries, at the Olympic Games and stuff like that. This ranks, if they were to be classified as a team, they all represent different countries. If they classified as a team, this would be one of the fastest 4x4s ever clocked in history. Crazy to think about, because again, you have Kaylin Brown, who's 19 years old. You have these basically 19 to 21 year olds on this team running one of the fastest 4x4s ever. I think that's probably one of the more impressive things we've seen in outdoor track in terms of relays in a long time.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the next biggest race, I think, for all of us was watching the 800 meters. I know we saw Juliet Whitaker, Roisin Willis, Michaela Rose, Sophia Guerreron was in that race as well. I had Michaela Rose winning this race, I thought this was really interesting how it was executed. Sophia went out really, really hard. And Corey and I were talking about this in the mixed zone too. And I was kind of expecting, and even Juliette Whitaker mentioned it in her post-race interview. She was like, no one wanted to take it. And we were all waiting for like Michaela Rose to, take the lead on that. And she never did until, the final lap of that race. But it ended up being Juliette Whitaker who not only won the indoor title, but came out and win that outdoor title as well. And Stanford goes 1-2 with Roisin Willis finishing second there.
Yeah, it was interesting, right? I'm glad that you mentioned the tactics there. Usually you see Michaela Rose, she's always going to run from the front, right? Like she always is going to get out hard and try to basically just hold on for as long as she can and run something fast. Didn't happen here, like they go out, she's kind of in the middle of the pack and until like, that second lap, she eventually tries to, she goes to the lead. But similar to indoor there, it's Juliette who had more at the end and was able to kick down and grab that win. And kudos to, I think, Roisin too in second there. It's always, I think it's cool to see, right? Because they were, two of the best high schoolers ever at 800. Now teammates, and they go 1-2 and two of the best at the collegiate level for Stanford. So I think that's a good shout out to JJ Clark and the Stanford program for how they've been developing Juliette and Roisin over the past couple of years.
Yeah,
two different ways of getting there too. I think because Juliette made her move much earlier.
Yeah.
To pass Rose. Willis really waited maybe until the final 80 meters.
Yeah.
She was definitely in a hole. And I think she passed one or two to get there into second. So came there a different way, but they still, kind of were in the same, place at the end. So good stuff.
Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the Workout Wednesday leading up into NCAAs, make sure you go do that. It's on YouTube and it's also on FloTrack's website as well. Corey, for you, I know you had a field event that really caught your attention as well. And I also think that was a really great event to watch too.
The pole vault.
Yeah.
Everyone probably assumed that Hannah Mall was going to win this event from Washington. She was the indoor national champion, and she made a world team last year. Obviously, the top pole vaulter entering. But the way the pole vault works is you got to be on it, and she struggled a little bit at a specific height, and Chloe Timberg of Rutgers did not. She came in on the second height. They opened at 13.1.5. She came in 13.7.5, and she went 6 straight through her runs. Ultimately made her way up to 4.71, which is 15.5.5, and cleared it. And that was a new meet record. I mean, kudos to Chloe to capitalize on the day to win NCAAs. I think we've talked at length here about just kind of being ready. I mean, NCAAs is all about like college athletes, putting themselves in position to succeed. The favorites don't always win. And I think when you look at her, she made a good case that now she goes into the trials that she could potentially make a team too.
Yeah, I was looking forward to the pole vault because Chloe and Hannah were actually tied going into nationals. Like they cleared the same height. So it was like who was going to have the better day? And it ended up being Chloe that just strategically did it well and grabbing that title as well. Before we move on, Ashley, I know you have another athlete that you wanted to highlight. And of course, she was kind of the star of the show at NCAAs, just waving to the crowd.
Yeah, how can we not talk about what Parker Valby did in that 5K and 10K? If you look at what she did across this whole academic year, she wins the NCAA cross title, the indoor 3K and 5K, and then outdoors she wins the 5K and the 10K. I mean, when's the last time we saw a dominance like that from a distance runner at the NCAA level? We haven't, seen anyone win everything that they do in one academic year. Crazy. So she wins the 10K, dominant effort there on that first night. And then she comes back in the 5K and she sets an outdoor collegiate record, 14:52 in the 5K there. And again, just like, I feel like every time we watch her, or at least I do, it's like, can anyone stop her? When's the day that someone's gonna really challenge her and take her down? And it's always that last mile. She just finds some other unworldly gear that no one else can match.
Mm-hmm.
I think the great part about her that people really respond to is how she races.
Yeah.
She does not hold back. It's not like she's gonna run conservatively with a pack like men do, right? She's gonna go for it, right? And if she fails, she fails. Largely, she hasn't this season, but that's what people who our track fans want to see. And I think in the 10K, for a little bit, she ran with Taylor Rowe and that whole field. But then eventually, last 1,600 meters, I think she started to go. But she knew she had a race on Saturday. So I think that was managing her two efforts there. But what she does best is she is bold.
Right.
And she doesn't let anybody else, kind of dictate what she wants to do.
And she's out there just waving, having fun.
Yep.
I know in the mix-up we were asking her about that. She was just like, yeah, I'm waving to my, family, friends, looking at herself on the
She was waving to herself on the Jumbotron.
On the
That's
Jumbo.
what she said.
Yes.
I don't know if you can always take her at face value.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's actually, like, what she's saying is actually what she's thinking.
Yeah.
Which is smart. But that's kind of what I've gathered.
There's a lot of, jokes being made.
Yes.
She joked about because she was wearing, I think,
Her spike.
the custom-made Nike Vaporflies with spikes on them. And someone asked about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I just sewed the spikes in my shoes, like at my hotel." So yeah, she's always just a little bit of a joke.
Well, I saw something online about, is there a regulation that in championship you must wear spikes, and maybe I don't know, maybe like you're not allowed to wear trainers, right?
There was a debate about like whether this would count towards points toward her world ranking because she was wearing, I think the stack height of the shoes is maybe too high.
Okay.
I don't know exactly
But
the full
since she
extent. It's
has
really
spikes on them, it changes.
I honestly don't know. I didn't dive hard enough into it, but I did see some conversation.
It feels
about
like a little bit of a loophole, and they kind of capitalize on the loophole.
There you go.
Maybe.
I don't, like Ashley said, I didn't take a deep dive.
Saw a little bit about it, but it was a little bit confusing.
All right. One last athlete I want to mention before we move on, Mackenzie Long. I was just blown away by her efforts from the weekend. She ran the second leg of Ole Miss's 4x1, which took the victory. Then she went 10:82 in the 100, literally ran off the track, ran through the mix zone to get ready for that 200, and then went 21:83 and just finished 0.03 of a second off Abby Steiner's collegiate record. This woman has just gone through so much over this year, and she's just been very open about the challenges that she went through with losing her mom earlier this year, and how the community and her friends and her family have just been so supportive of that. And you can see that love as she's running, and every time she steps on the track, she wants to run for her mom. And so I was just quite impressed by her character in handling all of this, but being able to get out there, step on the line, and handle business like she did. Like, that is a shero right there. And I'm just really impressed with what Mackenzie did over the weekend. Any last minute thoughts around NCAAs?
Well, that was the 7th sprint triple ever to be accomplished by a woman at NCAAs, which, enter into elite company there. Did you say shero, like a woman hero?
Yeah, shero.
Okay.
I like it.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
You never heard
I don't know if I've heard it either.
No.
Oh, are we about to start this again?
So, why? What does that mean?
Well, like, you say Jay Chillin. I'm like,
Oh, so you're going to say Shiro.
like Jay Chillin I've never heard of in my life. And you're like, yeah, it's a normal thing. I'm like,
That's a normal term. Whatever.
don't think
Fine.
it is. But shero, yeah.
But yeah, no, Mackenzie.
Shero.
No. Well, but Jay Chillin's at least just chilling. It's a shortened version of chilling. What's
I guess.
hero?
Yeah.
What's S? I don't know.
Shero.
Yeah,
A female hero.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
There we go.
Past it.
She's my
Past
shero.
it.
One thing on Mackenzie Long. I mean,
Yes.
she's the world leader in the 200.
That's right, yeah.
And she improves on her world lead. And then she's one of the best in the 100. So I think we got to be thinking Olympic trials, like, got to be one of the favorites to make the Olympic team right now if she can continue on through
Absolutely.
the end of June.
Yeah, she looks strong. All right. Biggest takeaways from the New York City Grand Prix. Let's start with the biggest headline.
Oh, gosh.
Let's start with Fred Curley. Let's just get that one out of the way. Fred Curley.
I think this may be a long conversation.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Well, I don't know if y'all were tuning into the New York City Grand Prix, but I was.
You were. So take us through it. Play by play.
The pollen's really getting to me right now. Fred Curley at New York City Grand Prix. I'm watching this on the plane on the way back from Eugene.
You're on the plane?
Yeah, I was watching this on the plane. And he gets to the line, gets into his blocks. What's he wearing? He's wearing Puma spikes.
Right. Just when I thought he was
Little
sponsored by
question
Asics.
mark. Little question mark there.
Yeah.
They go to start the race. They call him back, second gun. I think in lane 1, that was Davison or something, I think, from Jamaica. He said his block slipped, okay, let's switch out the blocks, let's redo it. They go to fire again. Who's jumping the gun immediately? Fred Curley. He just goes soaring ahead. Second the gun goes. He's arguing that, his block slipped. And if you look at the broadcast, his blocks did slip, but he clearly jumped the gun. They don't DQ him. He just decides he doesn't want to run. So he walks off. They run the race.
Okay, so that's the controversy I've been reading, because I've been seeing all over social media, like people were saying, you got to know what DNF stands for, DNS, and there was one other, DQ.
And
I was like, what are y'all talking about? So now that makes more sense. Like, he decided.
Because originally when they were on the broadcast, they were like, oh, wait, he's been DQ'd because he all started.
Right. Well,
okay.
So most people thought, but then you look at the results and it says DNS.
Because the results come out, later than what they're seeing in real time. So, Otto's calling it, I think, at
because it looks like a DQ. Like, why would you not think he got DQ'd because he false started?
Right.
But a lot of people I've been seeing on social media were like, no, that's a DNF. Like, his race was a DNF. But I was like, he didn't even start,
It's only a DNF if you start the race and you don't finish.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Technically, he didn't start.
Technically, that's what I'm saying. Like, that now makes more sense on why people are... Okay, that's a whole thing.
So basically, then, it evolves into... there was confirmation and word that he and Asics had mutually split apart. So now we're like, 10 days away from the Olympic trials.
Well, can we talk about his interview? He met with reporters after the race, and he gave them answers, but some of them were a little cryptic too, right? Well, they asked him essentially, Fred, like, can you talk to me about the Puma spikes? And he said, I left my bag in the airport. Okay, what's that about? And did you DQ? No, I just walked off, right? I mean, he gave a lot of cryptic answers, and I'm wondering sort of like what's behind them a little. We don't know, right? But the report about Asics gives you a little bit of an understanding of like maybe where that's at.
Yep.
So much drama.
Who knew that there could be drama in it? I mean, it took him like 20 minutes to run a heat of the 100
for
final.
a 9-second race.
I know. It took him like 20 minutes.
Can we go to Fred Curley's Twitter right now? Really?
Yeah. He's been all over Twitter.
Yeah, he was tweeting a lot. Recently, he tweeted, I think after the Grand Prix, he said, there is more to something than what meets the eyes.
Wow.
What's that mean, Fred?
He's very cryptic. He's so cryptic. I don't know what that means. He
posted a video of him running I think just I don't know what that is, flying 100 or something like that. No, that's from a stop. But he posted a video of him just running 100, basically after he walked off at Grand Prix.
Is this on Twitter?
Yeah, it is on Twitter. Yep.
He was commenting on the blocks from Grand Prix, saying they were high school blocks. He commented that he didn't false start in the race. I mean, he was commenting on everything. And
very vocal.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Is it pride?
I don't know what it is. I guess I'm just confused. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I like Fred Curley. Mm-hmm. I think everyone wants to see him succeed. It's a weird moment, though.
Yeah,
it is a very weird moment.
Yeah.
And it's kind of coming at a very bad timing, I would say, with the trials coming up on the 21st.
Yeah, because that's what they were talking about a lot on the broadcast too. I think Otto was saying, like, I mean, he hasn't gone under 10 seconds this season. Now you've just lost another chance to just get another race underneath your belt and like stay sharp. All you got left now is Olympic trials, and like you can't mess up at the Olympic trials. Like that's not like a test run. That's when you have to be at your best. So I think there's some talks about, New York City not running there. A lost opportunity, maybe.
Yes.
Sorry, my voice is very...
No, you're good. All right. Let's switch gears. Talk about something a little bit more joyful. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone sets a new world lead in the 400 meters, 48.75. And this just comes out like a day after we see Nikisha Price do her thing. We also saw Natalie Kaczmarek of Poland. She went 48.98 at the European Championships. So now we're starting to see some 48s. And what's mind-blowing is when you watch Sydney's race, and I know, Ashley, I texted you about this, it's like she went so fast. Like Kendall Ellis was in that race. Talitha Diggs was in that race. And Sydney just was in a whole nother atmosphere on a completely different planet. And like the ladies went 50 point. Like Talitha Diggs went 50 point, I believe. Kendall Ellis, I think, was also in that range too. Again, quite fast times. But when you're in a race against Sydney, it just like the separation was just unreal to just witness that.
Yeah, I mean, right from the get-go, again, I was watching this race on the plane. I see her take off, and I'm like, it's over. Like, she's got everyone. She's going to run something really fast. Because, I mean, she hit that back turn, and she looked like she was cruising, and she had already made up that stagger. And then I think it was when she came off the final turn with 100 to go, and you get that visual of her just gapping a field that does include 400-meter specialists. It's like, what are we witnessing? Like, we knew that something fast was going to happen, and she almost breaks the American record a little close.
So
48.75, just 100th of a second off of her PR, 48.74 set at USA Outdoors last year.
Wow.
And in the post-race interview, she kind of talked about, like, she was a little disappointed.
I was just about to mention
because
that.
the goal was to break the American record.
Yeah.
However, I mean, you have to look at the conditions. It was so windy. It was so windy. So maybe you put her in a different place. That definitely probably was an American record right there.
Goodness. Corey, what are your thoughts when you saw 48.75?
Well, the American record is 48.70 from Sonia Richards-Ross, 2006. We've talked a lot about Sydney and her frequency of racing. She doesn't race a lot. But, man, when she does race.
She does, man.
She does
It's
race.
something special. It's like fun to watch.
She said, hold up. Everybody, simmer down. I'm going to do my thing.
Good.
I mean, it's hard to criticize when you see stuff like that where maybe it is all the plan, right? I'm going to do my thing. Just wait for me to do my thing. So that's all people just want to see.
Yeah.
They just want to see Sydney being Sid.
Yeah. We just want to see it 24/7. That'd be
It was great. It was great.
I know. Speaking of that headwind, and then we'll move on, I want to talk about Gabby Thomas because this race was completely different than what we saw at the LA Grand Prix. I know she tweeted that like she's in a different training cycle, but honey, whatever training cycle she's in right now, homegirl's moving. My goodness. She came off that turn and went 22.42. And you look at that time, you're like, okay, cool. But honey, the wind, -3.1.
I would not want to be sprinting into that. I can tell you that for sure.
You know where Icon Stadium sits, right?
Yeah.
It's low. It's right by the river and the highway.
Yep. It's windy. You're not going to get great conditions. Yeah.
What I can say is the way she ran that last 100, she like muscled her way through.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is just kind of like getting hit in the face, and she's just like powering down that home stretch. And I know when you watch the broadcast, she's just like, oh goodness, like the kind of win, but like 22.42 into a -3. Like I feel like Gabby Thomas now is in a different tier than what we've been seeing from her throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, and she did it after she ran the 100 earlier in the competition, so this was off of the double. And I think what I found more interesting was what she said after the race. You know, she was very open about like she's not sure what individual event she wants to do yet at the trials. You know, she's experimenting with. I mean, obviously, she said her main goal is to get after that 200-meter Olympic gold. I need to clear my throat. But she's exploring maybe doing the 400 or the 100.
Yeah.
Then she wants to be on the relays too, the 4x1 and the 4x4.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So I think potentially 4 is what I saw going after 4 medals at the Olympic Games.
Yep.
That's pretty snazzy. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on now as we wrap up our show. We're going to talk about all high school now because this week we're all going to be glued to our computers, just dialed in. Brooks PR is going to kick off Wednesday, June 12th. And you have Nike and New Balance Outdoor Nationals and then U20s. And before you know it, next week is going to be Olympic trials. So we're going to have another show next week to kind of just focus in on that. But let's talk about Brooks PR first because that's the first meet on the dock. Ashley, this 800 meters is going to feature one of the fastest individuals we have seen this year. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to that boys 800 because Cooper Lutgenhouse, as just a freshman, has already turned into a star at the 800. He's gone 149, freshman national class record for high schoolers. I think I'm just curious, can he go sub 149? I think a lot of people have already seen, Cooper run, have kind of identified him as like someone they think may be that next guy, that next guy in the 800 because he still has 3 more years and he's already running 149. He'll be running against good guys like Patrick Hilby and Tyler Matthews. So I think it'll be a very competitive race, and I'm curious to see how he does against that competition.
I can see him going sub 149. And he already broke the freshman class record. And I'm saying this now, maybe not this year, but I can see the national high school record falling and Cooper being the guy to do it. And I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
down
not
the
a
road.
hot take. Not a hot take.
It is a hot take.
How is that a hot take?
What?
How's a hot take? He's a freshman. He's got 3 more years.
He's the guy.
I just said at some point. I didn't say
How
this
is
year.
it a hot take? Hot take is the record hasn't gone down since 1996, and everybody has tried 100% to do it, and they haven't accomplished it. So it is a hot take to say that he will, even if he is a freshman, even if he does have 3 years.
He broke a freshman class record. He's pretty much
Twice, actually. Twice. He broke it
right.
twice.
And we're at 149 low.
Right? But success
Already?
today doesn't guarantee success tomorrow. I'm not doubting him. I'm just saying the record is fast.
Yeah.
For a high school boy. Where's Cade Flat now? No shade, kind of shade.
Oh, that's
But
shade.
That is shade. Don't say that's not
He
shade.
tried to get there, and now he's struggling in college because I don't know, for whatever reason. But I mean, it's tough to get there, and you have to build a certain way, you have to train a certain way just to be able to run a 146.45. So it's very difficult. He might chop a second off each year. That's 148, 147. Could get to 146 by his senior year, but it really depends on if he's healthy,
Right.
if the training's right, and all those factors.
Well, either way, we're excited for him right now.
Yeah, right now.
Sub 149.
Absolutely. I just had to make a little note on the
little note?
absolutely
Just
going to break
know
the
I
high school
called it here
national
today.
record.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in 4 years,
We
if
can
come
clip
back to
this
it-
segment out and post it when it happens because I'm just going to
Okay.
manifest it.
All right.
But Corey, what are you looking forward to in the 800 and also in the mile as well?
Yeah, I do think he could break 149. I think Patrick Hilby, Tyler Matthews, Cooper, they've all run 149, 148. I think that's the goal. They could get to 147 too. The 1500. I'm sorry, the mile. You have 2 guys in there, Marcus Riley and Owen Powell, who have run really, really fast times. Marcus Riley's coming off a 342 from June 8th at the Adrian Martinez Classic. That is sub 4 conversion right there already, 359. So Riley, it is a couple days after it, so just how has he recovered since then is going to be the question. But I think Riley and Powell are the 2 guys I'm watching. Powell is from Mercer Island. Sam School is Sofia Victoria Rodriguez. He's a Washington commit, 402 miler. Really talented. It's his home turf. I say he probably is the most likely in my eyes to do it.
Like it? Ashley, can we see sub 4?
Yeah, you know me. I'm all for sub 4. We'll just have to see if they go out fast. I mean, it really just depends on how they get out. If like sub 4 is on the mind. I know Seattle can be a little windy as well, so that may play a factor. But I do think if anyone can do it, it could be Powell and Riley. They've looked really strong, especially in the latter stages of the season. So I think we could potentially have a couple of guys get into that mix. I think JoJo Jordan's also in this race.
Yeah,
He broke 4 indoors. So maybe throw that name in there as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm also looking forward to the girls 2 mile because you're going to have athletes like Jane Hedegren, Elizabeth Leachman, Addie Ritzenheim. I'm going to throw in Ellie Shea in there, who's just had an interesting senior year, but leading up to this point.
Zealand as well.
And Allie Zealand, yes. So they're looking quite impressive. I'm looking forward to seeing how this kind of race shakes out to be. We haven't seen Elizabeth Leachman compete as of lately. I know she's been battling through a minor injury, so I'm curious to see where she's at right now. But Jane Hedegren looks very strong as well, and Addie Ritzenheim coming off of a Colorado State Championship titles there and looking really great after Penn. So I think this 2 mile could be really impressive too.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Leachman. She just recently did try to race at the Portland Track Festival on Sunday. Did not finish in the 5K. I assume she was trying to run the 5K to probably improve on her ranking in the U.S. to potentially make the trials or get that auto queue. She didn't finish, so I don't know where she's at, but maybe she did that. Maybe that was a little bit strategic, and hopefully she can bounce back and do something special in the 2 mile. But either way, I think it's going to be a great field.
950 national record from 2022. Our intern Campbell, shout out to her, wrote something on mile split recently. Do we think it can go faster than 950?
Absolutely.
I think
If
so.
you look at this field, I mean, shoot, Allie Zealand just ran 4:30 for the mile recently.
Yes.
So I think this shows that this field's really fit, and we know Addie Ritzenheim is fit. as well as Jane Henegren. She's also an all-timer. So.
Yeah, I say yes.
Who's your pick?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think I'm going to go Jane.
Ooh. Okay. Addie's name's sticking out to me.
I think Jane went like 950 something for 3,200 at elevation at the Utah State meet.
I think
true.
952.
52?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, yeah, she wins this. She's good.
Jane? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. Because I just don't know where Elizabeth Leachman is right now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Addie. Like, Addie's name is sticking out to me right now.
Okay.
Addie Ritzenheim.
And Olivia was like 9 for 2 at NCAA. 9 wins, 2 losses.
Yes.
Yeah, you were really good. You
I
were
was
pretty
on it.
good.
The only
Yeah,
one
yeah.
I missed was the 800, and there was another one I missed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't remember. But
I'm
yeah,
actually
just missed-
also going to go with
You're going with Jane. You're going with Jane.
Addie Ritzenheim.
You're going with
Dang
Ritzenheim.
it. So I'm the odd man out.
I like Jane, though. I like Jane.
Okay, well,
but
we'll see. We'll
Addie
see.
Ritzenheim right now, I don't know. Just her name's popping out at me on paper.
We'll see.
Well, on computer. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about New Balance. Of course, our guy, Quincy Wilson, is entered into the chat once again. 400 meters. What can
Yep.
we see from the Bulldog?
Well, we haven't seen him race in quite a bit, but I think
Right.
that's very strategic because they've been trying to save him because we all know that he's entered in the 400 of the U.S. Olympic trials. So this will be kind of, I think, a tune-up, aiming to, excuse me, he's going to be in the 400. He won this event last year, I believe, correct? Yes.
Yes.
So he'll look to try to win it again. But yeah, I think I'm just curious to see where he's at and, what he tries to put down leading into the Olympic trials.
Yeah. Currently sits at number 8 all time with a 45.17. Throwing this out there. National high school record, as we all know, 44.69.
You're going to keep throwing that out there.
Throwing it out there. But also he's going to have Jaden Horton-Mims in this mix too. U.S. number 5 with a 45.82. And Mateo Medina, number 6 in the country with a 45.88. So we're going to see some impressive guys there. I have to give a huge shout out to our guy, Christian Miller. This guy entered in the 1 and the 2. And I know he is striving for that 20.3. He's trying to get that big automatic qualifier for the Olympic trials. And
So he can't qualify anymore for the Olympic trials.
just
They
kidding.
no close Sunday, but
just kidding.
he tried to go for it. So
He's trying to go for it. He can still run with pride there. So he's already gone 20.51 from March. So I know he's looking to improve on that marks. But also speaking of short sprints, Adeja Hodge, she has not run since April. I've been tracking to see what she's been up to, but it looks like she's going to kind of put herself out there and run the 100 and the 200. She's already gone 11:19, 22:85 this year. So I'm curious to see what she does. Ashley, any other names that you're looking forward to seeing?
I'll also throw the girls' mile out there. Sadie Engelhart, Allie Zealand, both in this race. We saw Allie Zealand run 4:30 to win the high school girls' mile and break Sadie's outdoor national record. But then, 10 minutes later, Sadie ran the pro mile at Hoka, and she ran 4:28 to better on that mark. So I think seeing them match up head-to-head this time will be really exciting to watch.
All right. Corey, I'm going to toss it to you. Anybody you're looking forward to?
I thought you covered it well. I mean, Christian Miller, Quincy, those are the 2 biggest guys to watch out for. One thing I mentioned here, New Balance, the 13th through the 16th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're going to have all the coverage from Mile Split on the ground with videos and interviews and everything you need to capture that. So we will be covered.
Perfect. One last thing before we move on to Nike. Nyla Jones is officially on my radar. If you don't know who she is, I'm about to tell you why you need to have her on your radar as well. She's an athlete from New Jersey, and she soared to the New Jersey Group Championships over this weekend. She's gone a win legal 11:23 and 23:29, which puts her at U.S. number 3 and U.S. number 11 to get that 1-2 double. And I was like, who is Nyla Jones? So she's also going to be competing in the 100 and the 200 at New Balance in Philadelphia. So keep your eyes out for those short sprints. All right, let's talk about this girl's 400 meters at Nike, because it's going to be a stacked one. You're going to have athletes like Tyra Cox, who's U.S. number 2 with the 52.26, Brooke Lloyd, 52.76, which is number 5 in the country. And then Josie Donaldson from Lake Oswego has gone 52.83 to be number 6 in the country. What I find fascinating is all these ladies are in the top 6 in the country, and they're all in the same qualifying heat. So things are about to get interesting to already kick things off. I can kind of see this playing out like the NCAA 400-meter prelim when you had Ahmad Robinson and Christopher Morales-Williams in that same heat. And it was kind of like who's going to get the better lead toward the end to get that better seeding in the final. But nonetheless, it's going to be a spicy 400 meters there.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you have multiple sub 53 high schoolers and at Nike like that at a championship, that can push people to fast times. I think I'll be curious to see if anyone can dip under maybe 52. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the interesting part about Nike is that it's converged with the US U20 championships, and the schedule literally has like middle school races in between U20 events, which will make things interesting overall. But the 400 is on the last day for the girls. And yeah, it will be one of the primetime events.
Yep. All right. Now, Corey just spoke on it. Let's talk about U20s because originally this was not supposed to be happening. We weren't going to send a USA team. And as of lately, that has changed. So now we have athletes that are entered into U20s. Ashley, who are some athletes that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, there are some stars from the NCAA level that are going to be competing here. You're going to have Jamesia Ford in the 200 and the 400. She's also entered in the same events at the Olympic trials the following week, but she's going to try to, I feel like, kind of try both, try to see if she can make the U20 team, then the Olympic team, then decide from there where she goes. That'll be exciting. And then Jacoby Tharp of Auburn, the NCAA runner-up, I believe, in the 110-meter hurdles. He ran 13:18 in his prelim. At NCAA's, extremely fast. So I think he's going to be one of those favorites going into the U20 championships. He's also a meme, according to Corey.
Oh, he is?
Formerly a meme.
Oh, yeah.
Formerly a meme.
You in the wrong heat.
Yep.
That one?
Mm-hmm.
My brother, yes.
My brother.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong heat, my brother. What was it like talking to him in the mix zone over the weekend?
I mean, I don't think he got a lot of interviews when he was in high school, and I think success has come to him really quickly at Auburn. He became pretty much one of the best hurlers in the world while he was at Auburn. Didn't win an NCAA title, but I think he's learning how to navigate successes and questions, interviews, things like that. But he held himself really well, and I think he is the prime candidate to get to World U20s here. Which, side note, World U20s, Lima, Peru, August 27th to the 31st after the Olympics. So it kind of finishes out the track and field season for, the young kids and really for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Man, can you believe it? We're already
crazy.
Wow. And before you know it's going to be cross country. I just feel like we just
don't even talk about cross country.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even talk about that yet. I can't think about cross country.
I just feel like we just finished cross country.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was 6 months ago. We were at we were in Virginia.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. All right. I'm looking forward to some high schoolers kind of stepping it up. Elise Cooper, I saw, is entered in the 1 and the 2. Avery Lewis, who is a USC commit, 100, 200, and long jump. Sophia Guriron, not a high schooler, but we saw her compete at the NCAA Outdoor Championships. She's looking to qualify in the 800 and the 1,500 meter double. Man, the list just continues to go on. Corey, are there any other athletes that you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, we already talked about Tharp, so I think he's a big one. Maurice Gleaton from Georgia.
He's been great this year.
Yeah, and as of late, too. I think he has a real shot to qualify in the 100 and could go under 10-2, I think, when legal here. He's a very good talent and a football player. Biggest event I'm watching, and you know.
I know, because I'm
going to be the 400.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Sims versus City Najai for the first time since. Did they race at Nike? Oh, they raced? No.
Was it indoors? Was it Nike?
Wait.
It was at Nike.
Or did they race Milrose? Was City in that 600?
No, it wasn't. Quincy was in that 600.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've raced at least once, I think. But obviously these guys both have run 45. And they're capable of so much more. So I really want to see, just when you throw two, heavyweight boxers in the ring, who's going to win?
I'm really curious to see where Jonathan Sims is, particularly because we know that he got injured in the regionals of Texas qualifying for the state meet, which was unfortunate because we really wanted to see, what he could do at the state meet. But I know we've been talking to his dad and his coaches, and
he's been locking in.
Locked in.
And I always think back to Jonathan Sims when he was at his peak and seeing him. He peaks in the summer, I feel like he does really well in the summer. He ran 45-12 at AAU, and I remember seeing that, and I'm like, I thought he was like a freak of nature. You know what I mean? Like, he's just this young guy, but he's built. So I think I'm really excited to see what he can do here.
Man, that 400 was going to be great. And he's also the world age group record holder, too. So
Yep.
I'm just excited to see what they
Faster
do.
than Quincy.
True.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now
he
he's
is.
still faster than
he
Quincy.
is. Yep.
Crazy. All right. Is there one other that you want to highlight?
No, I just we were joking.
I saw it.
We were joking about this before we came in, but in the 3K right now, we only have one accepted athlete on the men's side.
Interesting.
Like, what happens? Do you run?
I feel like you have to, right?
Yeah, unless they say we're not going to send anybody in the
someone?
3K, but that would be.
That'd be so
I mean,
weird.
You signed up. You want to
Yeah,
run it.
yeah.
You paid the money.
Pay the money.
Give the man the
It's
3K.
rather strange.
Flying all the way to Eugene,
Yeah.
you know?
I think maybe that goes to show that maybe just a lot of like, there's just so many different meets to go to, and then also they just added this so
cross-country.
late.
They added it.
Yeah, and cross country. Yeah,
I think
that's true.
That part of we see that a lot in the summer. You know,
Yep.
not as many distance athletes as there are sprinters because
Right.
cross country
Is
is
literally
diverting
Yep.
to off-season load. Trainers want to finish out their season, so.
Yeah. That's a great way of thinking about it, too. I also have to agree with Ashley, too, just thinking you removed it like originally, and then a month later you decide to add it, and at that point people probably already made plans, and they're like, okay. And then to have to go back. It's just a lot. But anywho, this is going to be another crazy weekend of track and field. So make sure you stay tuned to FloTrack, where you can get all the coverage of all the high school races, but also just looking forward to Olympic trials next week. We will be on the ground for that. Crazy to think we'll be flying out Wednesday. So we'll have another episode before we fly out. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week.